Now that's Huggie Pacino certified.
What's going on, y'all? This is Huggie Pacino, back with another video. So I was cruising, doing a lot of research. I go to therapy, so I want to share a few things that I found with the research that I learned by being through therapy recently. 11 signs you're dating a narcissist, and how to get out. Narcissistic personality disorder isn't the same as self-confidence or being self-absorbed, all right? Now, there's many things that can be read throughout this thing, but I'm not going to read it all. So we're going to go over the main important things. But a true narcissist is someone with a narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. It's a mental health condition characterized by an inflated sense of importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, lack of empathy for others, often having troubled relationships. Now, what I will say is this. Every single thing does not have to be connected to a person that's narcissistic. These are certain things. Like, there's 11 things on the list, but every single one of them don't have to all connect. Like, oh, that person needs to have all 11 things for them to be narcissistic. A few of those things could be narcissistic. As a matter of fact, most likely 80 to 90% of us probably will experience one of these things that we actually share within our personality. Don't necessarily make you narcissistic, guys. Also, if you share many of those things, like for example, an inflated sense of importance. Some people don't feel like things are important. A deep need for excessive attention. That don't necessarily mean that you are narcissistic because you need excessive attention. I'm the type of person myself, I like giving that attention and I like to receive the same. If I don't give you much attention, then I don't expect it back. It's kind of like you get what you give out, so to speak. It's kind of like, when you deposit, you expect to be able to withdraw, etc., etc., etc. Like a bank account. Because if you're not putting that in your bank account, what can you withdraw? Anyway, I digress. Anyway, lack of empathy for others is one of the main problems because most people don't really care about how you feel. Often having troubled relationships. Now, troubled relationships don't necessarily have to fall into the spectrum, but I will say this, that troubled relationships don't necessarily have to all be you. In most cases, most people don't want to admit that they even cause any problems in relationships. Like, I will be the one to say, no, I'm not this perfect individual. I cause problems in relationships too. I've said things or whatever the case may be. I probably had like a way of expressing myself. So yeah, I'm the type of person, I hold myself accountable for things I do. What I will say is this. I've been the cause of maybe 20% of my relationships where they really just gone flat. I will admit that. But that's just speaking for me. Speaking for others is another thing. Anyway, back to it. When it boils down to, says licensed therapist Rebecca Weller, is selfishness at the usually extreme expense of others, plus the inability to consider others. Hold on, let me brighten this up. Yeah, okay, there we go. Others' feelings at all. NPD, like most mental health and personality disorders, isn't black and white. Narcissism falls on the spectrum. By the way, black and white is not necessarily race. I want y'all to be clear on that. Anyway, let's continue. Explain Beverly Hills family and relationship psychotherapist Dr. Franz Wallfish, author of The Self-Aware Parent. The most recent edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual in Mental Disorders lists 9 criteria for NPD, but it specifies that someone only needs to meet 5 of them to be clinically qualified as a narcissist. That's why I said, like, if you have a certain amount, then it would be. Anyway, the 9 criteria, right? Grandiose sense of self-importance, preoccupation with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, and ideal love. Belief they're special and unique and can only be understood by or should associate with or others special or high status people or institutions. Need for excessive admiration. Sense of entitlement. Interpersonality. Exploitative behavior. Lack of empathy. Envy of others or a belief that others are envious of them. Demonstration of arrogant and haughty behaviors or attitudes. All right. Now, I will say this. Let me look through here. No. The fourth one, the fourth one would be me. All right. And that's it. People will say the last one, but I digress. I'm not arrogant. My dad even told me sometimes you come off as arrogance, but that's just you. That sometimes high confidence can be assumed. Most people assume that you're arrogant based on your confidence and the way you speak and how you don't become fazed by certain words or certain actions or how people try to attack you. You know how to accept the attack and you know how to counter the attack, so to speak. But anyway, that said, knowing the official diagnostic criteria doesn't usually make it easy to spot a narcissist, especially when you're romantically involved with one. It's usually not possible to determine if someone has NPD without the diagnosis or of a qualified expert, all right? Plus, when someone is wondering if they're dating a narcissist, they generally aren't thinking, do they have NPD? They're wondering if how they're being treated is healthy and sustainable in the long run. Please avoid diagnosing your partner in conversation. Rather, read on to gain some insight into the health of the relationship. All right, that's important. I learned that in therapy. You're here because you're concerned, and the concern is valid if your health is at stake. If you think these signs fit, we'll also give you tips on how to handle the situation. So let's just get into the few things. Number one, they were charming AF, meaning, as F, the F word, at first. It started as a fairy tale. Maybe they text you constantly and told you they love you within the first month, and something experts refer to as love bombing. I learned that in therapy. Maybe they tell you how smart you are and emphasize how capable you are, even if they just started seeing each other. Narcissists, they think that they deserve to be with other people who are special, and that special people are the ones who can appreciate them fully. All right, so we'll get to this next one. They hog the conversation talking about how great they are. Narcissists love constantly talking about their own accomplishments and achievements were grandiose, says the psychotherapist Jacqueline Kroll. Mind rejuvenation therapy. They do this because they feel better and smarter than everyone else, and also because it helps them create an appearance of being self-assured. I agree. The third one, they feed off your compliments. Narcissists may seem like they're super self-confident, but according to THROWBACKS, most people with NPD actually lack self-esteem. They need a lot of praise, and if you're not giving it to them, they'll fish for it. Goodness, everything wants to pop up when I read. They'll fish for it. She says that why they're constantly looking at you to tell them how great they are. All right. Number 4, they lack empathy. Lack of empathy or the ability to feel how another person is feeling is one of the hallmark characteristics of a narcissist, Walfish says. Narcissists lack the skill to make you feel seen, validating, understood, and accepted because they don't grasp the concepts of feelings, he says. All right, let's continue. Number 5, they don't have any or many long-term friends. Most narcissists won't have any long-term real friends. Dig deeper into their connections and you may notice that they only have casual acquaintances, buddies, they trash talk, and nemesis. Alright? Now I will say this. I know a few people that have friends just to make them feel less than, because they probably have friends that are like below them, so to speak. Probably don't make as much money, their career goals are less than, so to speak. They don't have much, and they always count on these people to depend on them as friends, or they, let them lean on you for the friendship, so to speak. Anyway, number 6, they pick on you constantly. Maybe at first it felt like teasing, but then it got mean and it became constant. Suddenly, everything you do, from what you wear, eat, into who you hang out with, and what you watch on TV, is a problem to them. They'll put you down, call you names, hit you with hurtful one-liners, and make jokes that aren't quite funny. All right? Their goal is to lower others' self-esteem so that they can increase their own, because it makes them feel powerful. All right? Let's continue. They gaslight you. Gaslighting is a form of manipulation and emotional abuse. It's a hallmark of narcissism. Narcissists may spew blatant lies, falsely accuse others, spin the truth, and ultimately distort your reality. I was talking to my therapist about this, and we were talking about gaslighting, because in my past, I've had people do this to me, and then they will say that I was gaslighting them, and I was like, and when we went over this whole thing, I was like, emotional abuse is like, I can't emotionally abuse somebody if they're rarely calling me and we're rarely talking and we're not really getting into the thick of things to even, first of all, for me to emotionally abuse you, it seemed like when the person would call, they would try to accuse me of not contacting them and not answering the phone when they reach out, but then when I reach out, they don't pick up the phone. So it was kind of like, and then I would stop by, knock on the door, they not answering the phone, they claim they was asleep. Not answer the door, I said answer the phone when I knock on the door. Rewind. Not answer the door when I knock, and then later on, they will say that I'm the person that's not picking up my phone, or I'm not answering my door, when they know eventually by the time you knock on my door, you know I'm not there. Anyway, I'm all over the place right now. Anyway, the blatant lies and things of that nature. So I said, well, half of this shit that we learned about gaslighting was people gaslighting me. You know what I'm saying? Because first of all, and I don't like the idea of spinning the truth. Like, I don't think that makes sense. Like, you can't spin the truth. I believe you can spin lies and make them seem true to the person that's a narcissist. I don't think you can spin the truth. I don't understand that. But anyway, signs of gaslight. You no longer feel like the person you used to be. You feel more anxious and less confident than you used to be. You often wonder if you're being too sensitive. You feel like everything you do is wrong. You always think it's your fault when things go wrong. You're apologizing often. You have a sense that something's wrong, but aren't able to identify what it is. You often question whether your response to the partner is appropriate. You make excuses for your partner's behavior, right? Now, if none of that applies to you, obviously, you don't fall in line. Anyway, number 8, they dance around and defining a relationship. There are thousands of reasons someone might not want to label your relationship. Maybe they're polyamorous. You both agree to friends with benefits situations, or you're simply keeping it casual. For those who don't know what friends with benefits is, you eventually just start fucking each other. See, I cursed. I wasn't trying to curse. But anyway, you just eventually just fucking each other just to keep the relationship close. You know, sex is the only thing that keeps you close to each other, and that's just how it is. And, well, there's a mutual thing between you two. Sex is probably the only thing that keeps you happy, which is the most ridiculous shit to me. That don't make sense to me, but anyway. But if your partner is exhibiting some of these other symptoms on the list, won't commit, it's likely it's a red flag. Red flag is one of the main things that people tend to ignore when it comes down to the behavior of partners, so to speak. If you speak up and own your feelings about their disrespect, they will blame you for causing the fuss. I have been through that, where you clearly express yourself about how you feel, and then they claim that you're disrespecting them. And then they blame you for the causing the fuss, call you crazy, and use it as a further reason to not commit fully to you. If you don't say a word, that also gives a non-spoken message that you don't deserve to be respected. And that's why I said sometimes if you be silent, then what happens is, yeah, the person's not saying anything, so I'm gonna keep doing it. But then when you express yourself, they find a way to say, no, this is happening because you are disrespectful to me, and then they try to find like a way to blame somebody for the way they are, which is clearly not, proper. They think they're right about everything and never apologize. I've been there before. There's no debating or compromising with a narcissist because they're always right. They won't necessarily see a disagreement as a disagreement. They'll just see them as teaching you some truth. All right? These are the things that dating a narcissist partner doesn't hear you, won't understand you, doesn't take responsibility for that partner issue, doesn't ever try to compromise. I've been there. While ending a relationship is the best game plan with a narcissist, Waller advises on avoiding negotiation and arguments. It will make you feel crazy. The things that drives a narcissist crazy is the lack of control and the lack of the fight. I know about that. The less you fight back, the less power you can give them over you, the better. Alright? Inability to apologize could reveal itself in a situation where your partner is obviously at fault, like showing up for dinner reservations late, not calling when they said they would, canceling important plans last minute, like meeting your parents or friends. Alright? Let me read that last part. Good partners are able to recognize when they've done something wrong and apologize for it. I've done that. And one thing about me is I'm never above apologizing, but there's so many women who are just so above that shit. Like, and I'm just keeping it real. We're not playing the gender game. Let's just call it what it is. It's not many guys and not many girls that know their friends that just be like, you know what? I did my man wrong. I disrespected him today or last week, and I was responsible for a lot of the shit that he said to me, or the reason the relationship ended, or quote unquote. Let's just keep it real. The side note. You can't sit here, ignore your man for a whole week, and then try to accuse him for fucking with somebody else. Like, yo, you're gonna accuse him for fucking with somebody else, and you refuse to communicate with him for a week? You refuse to talk to him? It's like 3 or 4 days have passed, and you not answering the phone, you're not texting him back, you're not responding, you're busy, you're tired, and then when you do finally get on the phone with him, the fight is about you ignoring him, and then you don't want to own up to the fact, yo, I've been an ass, I haven't been his best girlfriend, and then you get upset and accuse him. Like, that don't even make sense to me. Like, for 3 whole days, you have no excuse for not communicating with him, and when you had the perfect opportunity, you accuse him. Which is kind of weird. Like, yo, you forced yourself into this isolation where you don't talk to him for 3 days, and then you accuse him. Like, that don't even make sense. So the guy's been reaching out to you. Obviously, there is no other woman that he could have been talking to, because for 3 whole days, he could have not been saying anything to you. There probably didn't need to be an attempt. Like, if he never attempted to call you, if he never attempted, reach out to you, text you, or whatever, that's understandable. If you're reaching out to him for 3 whole days and he's not responding to you, then you have a right to accuse him. But don't play the isolation game, kick him to the curb, and then say, you're fucking somebody. Like, that don't even make sense. Anyway, 10. They panic when you try to break up with them. At first, they may love bomb you. Remember, in the beginning, love bombing is what they do in the beginning. They'll say all the right things to make you think they've changed. All right? Number 11. And when you show them you're really done, they lash out. Been there before. Their ego is so severely bruised that it causes them to feel rage and hatred from anyone who wronged them. That's because everything is everyone else's fault, including the breakup, she says. Alright? Now, the thing about, dating a narcissistic person, and this goes for men and women, so this is just not a male or female thing. This is for men and women. I want to be clear on that. When you're dating a person that's a narcissist, you have to be able to identify them. And first of all, let's take accountability for oneself. What are you doing to cause any of it? What is the special issues that you may have in the argument, the disagreement, the fact that y'all not getting along, the separation amongst each other, things of that nature? So I want that to be clear. Like, when you go over this is very important, and I thought that I would share this because I went over this with my therapist rather, and this is very important, and I want that to be something that needs to be discussed. And if you all are in relationships, marriages, friendships, this is not just about relationships. Hell, even friends. Even if you're a guy, you got a male friend. If you got a female, you have a female friend. Like, use these same things. This is not just about relationships, by the way. So I want that to be clear. So I thought I'd share this with you all. Let me get to the end. How to prepare for a breakup with a narcissist, all right? Constantly remind yourself that you deserve better. Strengthen your relationships with your empathetic friends. Build a support network with friends and family who can help you remind what is reality. Urge your partner to go to therapy. Get a therapist yourself. Now, I will say this. I don't agree, like I told my therapist, I don't agree with no one telling me to go to therapy if they don't go seek therapy themselves, especially when they're the underlying problem amongst their own lives. I will say this, I think that person needs to go to therapy, then you tell the person to go to therapy. You know what I'm saying? But the steps don't really matter. I will say this, there's some people out there that need to go to therapy and they don't, and then they tell others, you need to go seek therapy. Like, nah. I think every one of us, all of us, male, female, good people, you know, the people that think they just doing great in life, nah, you need therapy too, because when you're alone in that room, you know what I mean, we all have issues. We all think about things, like even if you lost your grandma, you lost your mom, your dad, your cousins, friends, best friends, dogs, whatever. You know, we've all gotten sad. We've all gotten depressed at one point. And none of us are above that. So I want that to be clear that we all could use therapy. Whether you take therapists as calling a friend that cares about you, or talking to family more, or expressing yourself, or really just getting together and just really having a sit down and just really getting to know each other. So I thought this was very helpful. This was very important to make, and I want you all to, if you can, share this information. Hey, this is Huggie Pacino. Tell me what you think about this video. Hey, I'm out.
Chicken and corn. He wants something to eat. I live for this shit.
Why you stay a business, boy?